up, you beautiful bastards? Hope you have a fantastic Monday. Welcome back to the DeFranco Show, and let's just jump into it. And the first thing we're going to talk about today is that crazy story that blew up out of Utah on Friday of a nurse being arrested, and some say assaulted by a police officer. There's more to the story. There's a lot more footage available that people do not know about, so let's talk about it. This is Wubbels. She's the head nurse of a Utah hospital burn unit. And here she's explaining to police officers, including Detective Jeff Payne, that she cannot allow them to draw blood from a patient.
I have this, it says obtaining blood samples for police enforcement from patients suspected to be under the influence. Okay? This was something that you guys agreed to with this hospital. The three things that allow us to do that are if you have an electronic warrant, patient consent, or patient under arrest. And neither of those things, the patient can't consent. He told me repeatedly that he doesn't have a warrant, and the patient is not under arrest. So I'm just trying to do what I'm supposed to do. That's all.
Now, before we move forward, there was mixed information on the internet around this. Some people were saying police were just trying to get a blood sample from an obviously drunk driver. Others saying it was a blood sample for someone the police were chasing. But the actually correct information is they were trying to get a blood sample from a victim of a crash. The police were involved in a high-speed chase that resulted in the person that they were chasing crashing into a semi-truck that then exploded. The person the police wanted a blood sample from was the victim, the person that was in the semi-truck. It's unclear specifically why they wanted his blood, although people have speculated saying that they're trying to see if there was anything in his system so that the police would not be held accountable. It's not just something incredibly important before we move forward. But back to Alex. She has explained that you don't have a warrant, you don't have consent, and you're not arresting this person, so I can't allow you to do this. And then this happens.
So I take it without those in place, I'm not going to get blood. Okay. No, we're done. We're done. You're under arrest. We're going. We're done. I said we're done. We're done.
And as you'd expect, the internet was incredibly outraged against Detective Jeff Payne. Police saying this was an example of police intimidation and unlawful arrest, assault. Soon after, the Salt Lake City police apologized. Payne was initially suspended from blood draw duties, but had remained on as a detective. Utah Governor Gary Herbert calling the footage disturbing, saying he trusts the police will rectify the situation. The mayor of Salt Lake City is saying that this arrest was completely unacceptable. A Utah prosecutor then asked for a criminal investigation into this officer. And very interestingly, after this, it was found out that the man who was driving the truck was also a reserve officer. His name is William Gray. He's a reserve officer for the Rigby Police Department, and the Rigby Police Department has issued a statement saying on July 26th of this year, one of our reserve officers, William Gray, was the victim in a horrific accident in northern Utah while working his full-time job as a truck driver. The suspect in this incident was fleeing from Utah State Highway Patrol when he crossed into oncoming traffic and collided head-on with Gray's truck, severely injuring Gray and killing himself. Officer Gray was flown to the University of Utah's burn unit, where he remains under their watchful, professional, and competent care. Within the first hours of Officer Gray being admitted into the burn unit, an incident occurred between hospital staff and an officer from an agency in Utah who was assisting with the investigation. The Rigby Police Department was not aware of this incident until August 31st, 2017. The Rigby Police Department would like to thank the nurse involved and hospital staff for standing firm in protecting Officer Gray's rights as a patient and victim. Protecting the rights of others is a truly heroic act. And in close, saying it is important to remember that Officer Gray is the victim in this horrible event, and that at no time was he under any suspicion of wrongdoing. As he continues to heal, we would ask that his family be given privacy, respect, and prayers for continued recovery and peace. So we have all of that, but now here's a part of the story I think a lot of people that saw the initial 2-minute clip that went viral don't know about. There are several body cams, there's more footage, and that has also put another officer in the line of fire, specifically Lieutenant James Tracy. He was the watch commander on duty, he called for the arrest, and he ended up showing up to the scene. And what he gets caught saying on police body cam footage is very eye-opening. Now right off the bat, just to confirm that this is the same officer from the phone, he says,
What I was trying to tell you on the phone is the law.
We have Lieutenant Tracy saying that there was probably a better solution.
I have talked to people, and there's probably a much better solution that we could have come to, okay?
Then he provides an interesting argument for why she should have allowed police to do this.
Listen to me. If we're doing wrong, there are civil remedies, okay? It's called fruits of the poisonous tree. If we took this blood illegally, it all goes away.
And I have to say, to me personally, that's such a weird argument. The charge nurses, supervisors, the policy officer are saying, no, you have to protect your patient. Law enforcement and politicians have now credited this woman with protecting a patient. And Lieutenant Tracy's argument is essentially, just let us do the illegal thing, because if it's illegal, then it doesn't matter. If you're being told by the lawyers of this hospital that we're breaking the law, just let us break the law, and then none of this counts. It's so strange, but then the officer essentially says, I'm right, you're wrong.
I've done this for 22 plus years. I know what the law that is when it comes to search and seizure, all right? And what you have done, because your bosses are telling you to, has been to prevent this officer who was called out to do a job to do his job. That's obstructing justice. Okay.
Also, before moving forward, there's been a lot of conversation about hospital policy and the law. Please know, what the nurse did here is protected by the law. Last year, there was a US Supreme Court decision around this topic. They ruled explicitly that you can only draw blood from a driver if you have probable cause with a warrant. And I don't know where the officers would have thought they had probable cause. The guy they were trying to draw blood from was driving a semi-truck in his lane. He was hit when the suspect that the police were chasing in a high-speed pursuit swerved and crashed into him. So I don't know where exactly they argue they have probable cause here, but back to the video. Then Lieutenant Tracy is given the chance to talk with the policy officer for the hospital, and this happens.
I have the hospital privacy officer on the phone with me right now.
And what does he know about this individual that I'm trying to get blood from?
Just what we've told him.
Okay, so he doesn't know anything. I don't need to talk to him. Okay, because he's going to tell me what your policy is, and I understand what your policy is. I'm trying to tell you what I need legally. Okay, and your policy right now is contravening what I need legally. Okay, which I may not need it. If you have blood that I can get Logan to come and get a warrant and test for later. Okay, but this is all stuff that we should have a conversation with before I'm told no.
And so his condescension and frustration aside, he hits on a really important note. It appears that after manhandling that nurse and arresting her, they realized, oh crap, the hospital already drew blood. If we get a warrant, we can just use that blood. So from everything we've seen so far, it looks like they just escalated the situation needlessly. Also, I can't even tell if Lieutenant Tracy believes what he's saying to these people. And the reason for that is Jeff Payne's body camera caught Tracy saying this.
I don't think this arrest is necessary.
So there's not enough to make this arrest stick for it to be legitimate, and he even blames himself.
Unfortunately, when I told Payne that, hey, we're going to escalate this so we can get our blood, I didn't know that that's standard practice. They'll draw blood right off the bat and test it. And so, had I known that, it would have been a lot easier.
Now to paraphrase that, it's, oh, I escalated and fucked up this situation because I was not aware of something that I should have been aware of. Especially because in other body cam footage, I claim this is a constant problem.
There's a very bad habit up here of your policy interfering with my law.
Also, one last bit that I want to share from Jeff Payne's body cam footage. He gets caught explaining to another police officer how he's going to punish the hospital moving forward.
I'll bring them all with transients and take good patients elsewhere.
Moving forward, I'm going to take the transients here, just the homeless people, the people you would think are undesirable, and everyone else I'll just bring somewhere else. Class act, this Jeff Payne. But the note that I do want to end this story on is one of thanks. A thank you to this nurse, a thank you to her supervisors who backed her and said, you're doing the right thing, for having a backbone in the face of police officers that seemingly were going above the law. So if there is an upside to the story, we get to highlight very brave people, and it also brings into the limelight patient consent laws. But with all of that said, this is the Philip DeFranco Show. It's not just the story, it's not just my opinion. I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in those comments down below. But from that, I want to share some stuff I love today, and Today in Awesome brought to you by DraftKings, and specifically DeFrancoBlvd.com. Now, if you've watched the show for a while, you know I am a big fan of fantasy sports, specifically fantasy football. For me, it just makes the games more interesting, more fun. And for week one of the NFL season, DraftKings is doing something amazing at DeFrancoBlvd.com. There, they have a free entry contest. Just have to make an account. It has $100,000 in prizes in a free contest. And if you draft the team that scores the most DraftKings fantasy points that could possibly be scored within the salary cap and position requirements, you could win $1 billion. Billion with a B. Oh, free. It's amazing. 100% good luck to you, unless you're someone I'm facing in the private league, in which case I will destroy your face. And the first bit of awesome is we got a new trailer for the new season of Star Wars Rebels. Yes, it is a cartoon, but it is legitimately enjoyable. Even if you are not the biggest Star Wars fan in the world, I highly recommend Rebels. Also, the whole series is done now, but I highly recommend watching Clone Wars. So there was that. Then I got a pip out this video from Threadbanger. I did a video on do-it-yourself jiggly cheesecake, and they kinda did it. It's one of those, it's about the journey, not the destination kind of video. Then we got a trailer for a Netflix series that looks amazing, but I have a feeling it's gonna fly under the radar. It's called Sabora. It's an Italian crime series. It just looks so intense. And if you want to see the full versions of everything I just shared, the secret link of the day, anything at all, links as always are in the description down below. And then let's talk about a really interesting story. A lot of you wanted me to chime in on this, of some of your favorite YouTube creators hitting each other. Not with fists, not with heavily overproduced but very weak lyric diss tracks, but with cars. What I'm talking about starts with massive family vlogger Roman Atwood. He put out this quick video where he says he has an interesting idea.
This is what I want to do, guys. Imagine a YouTube. I've been thinking about this a while. Imagine a YouTuber demolition derby. Maybe a dozen of us, right? A dozen of us YouTubers, we get together and we have a crash bash. The crash bash. We all demo derby it out. Maybe it's at my house. Maybe it's in an arena where there's stadium where all of our viewers can come. What YouTubers would you like to see join my hosted demolition derby for YouTubers, and all you guys could come watch? I really have to do this. Tell me what YouTubers you'd want to see in one of them cars. Maybe 12 YouTubers, maybe more.
And he later put out a note explaining what he's going to start doing, saying he's working on getting 20 fully built demolition vehicles. YouTubers can paint and sticker them as they want. He's looking for an area where this can happen. He opened the floodgates to what YouTubers could be a part of it, and closing on the note that he wants to work with these YouTubers to figure out how to raise money for charity or charities with this. And all kinds of YouTubers threw their name in the hat for this. You got your Logan Pauls, your Casey Neistats, your Alex Wasabis, some of the more old school like Harley Plays, Jesse Wellens. As of recording this video, they had around 31 names. And a few of you have hit me up saying, Phil, would you throw your name in? And the answer is probably no. I think it's awesome that Roman's doing this. So many people are down. It's for a good cause. And the simple reason for that is this is probably going to take place in the next 3 to 4 months. I'm not going to be traveling for personal reasons for the next 3 to 4 months. But also, if my assumption is wrong and it's going to be in like 6 months or way after, sure. I just wouldn't want to hold anyone up because of my personal stuff. But, and it's not like it even needs it with some of the names that are attached to this, but I will be promoting to it, especially with it being for a good cause. I just love seeing things like this, or like the Sidemen versus YouTube All-Stars charity match. These things popping up, bringing the community together for a good cause. And then let's talk about some light news, some fun news, and that is North Korea's in the news again. And we're talking about North Korea because they announced that they have successfully tested a hydrogen bomb in their underground nuclear testing facility. According to the Korean Central News Agency of the DPRK, the H-bomb test was carried out to examine and confirm the accuracy and credibility of the power control technology and internal structural design, which was newly introduced into manufacturing an H-bomb to be placed at the payload of the ICBM. And this was backed up by ratings from seismologists in South Korea, China, and the United States that registered up to a 6.3 magnitude artificial earthquake that centered around the North's testing facility. And the big note here is this is the strongest nuclear test they have done to date. The Arms Control Association saying, the explosion, which produced a yield likely in excess of 100 kilotons TNT equivalent, strongly suggests that North Korea has indeed successfully tested a compact but high-yield nuclear device that can be launched on an ICBM. And so to give you some scale here, it's being estimated this bomb is 7 times more powerful than the one dropped on Hiroshima. And South Korea responded by holding live fire drills that use the nuclear testing facility as their target. This included using their F-15 fighter jets, their Hyunmoo land-based ballistic missiles, and in their drill, they accurately stuck the simulated target according to the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Around the same time, President Moon approved the temporary deployment of their 4 remaining US THAAD missile defense launchers. Those 4 launchers would join the 2 that are already in place, despite China being against this. We also had Japan deciding to bolster their country's missile defense. An emergency UN Security Council meeting was called by the United States, Japan, France, Britain, and South Korea to discuss North Korea's actions. And people are speculating what they're planning to do. They've already been putting sanctions in place. So people are asking, do you place further sanctions on the country on things such as exported textiles and placing further limitations on their workers abroad? The United States has suggested air and maritime restrictions and restricting oil. You also have Russia and China saying that there's a 2-prong approach here, that the North suspends their nuclear testing and the US and South Korea stop their joint military exercises. The United States has said they will not consider that part of the option, and North Korea has shown their cards so far. And President Trump's response to this has been to continue to leave military options open. When asked on Sunday after the launch if the US would attack the North, he responded with, "We'll see." He also tweeted, "South Korea is finding, as I have told them, that their talk of appeasement with North Korea will not work. They only understand one thing." Continuing later with, the United States is considering, in addition to other options, stopping all trade with any country doing business with North Korea. Also in response to North Korea, Secretary of Defense James Mattis said this:
"Any threat to the United States or its territories, including Guam, or our allies, will be met with a massive military response, a response both effective and overwhelming." We also had Nikki Haley, the U.S. ambassador to the UN, saying in her opening statement to the Emergency UN Security Council, "The time has come to exhaust all diplomatic means before it is too late. The DPRK is the only country that continues to break the norm against nuclear test explosions. War is never something the United States wants. We don't want it now, but our country's patience is not unlimited. The United States will look at every country that does business with North Korea as a country that is giving aid to their reckless and dangerous nuclear intentions." And the big thing to understand here is while the United States is using kind of open language, they are saying this to China. Now, as far as will North Korea shoot another missile? Probably. South Korea has said that they are seeing signs that the North is preparing to fire an ICBM, though there is no expected launch date so far, and some are speculating that it will be one of 2 days, this Saturday or October 10th. One is the anniversary of the regime's foundation, and the other is the anniversary of the establishment of the ruling Workers' Party of Korea. China has also warned the North against a second ballistic missile testing, saying they will worsen the already tense situation, but as of recording this video, not much has changed. The UN Security Council has not come out with any decisions as of yet, and when you look at North Korea, they are showing no signs of slowing down. They've been told to
stop. They've been threatened to stop. They've been hit with sanctions on top of sanctions, and they continue to test. So the question becomes, what comes next? And the answer to that is, I don't know, but it's probably not good. If we're talking about a military attack on North Korea, most likely we're talking about the deaths of hundreds of thousands, if not million plus. Even if you're not talking about nuclear-tipped ICBMs headed towards mainland United States. You have South Korea, Guam, and Japan looking down the wrong end of a gun. But of course, the main target for North Korea would be Seoul, South Korea. And if the US attacked first, most likely China would defend North Korea. But then let's not even talk about the military option. Is Donald Trump actually willing to not do business with people that do business with North Korea? I mean, it's been said that threat has been thrown out there now. If he doesn't follow through with that, he's going to be seen as someone that bluffs a lot. He says he threatens, but he doesn't do. And you're talking about a threat to China, who is the largest exporter in the world. In 2016, US goods between the United States and China came in at around $650 billion. But would Trump actually do that? Because we also know that he hates trade deficits. While the exports to China came in at around $169 billion, the imports from China to the United States came in at just under $479 billion. And the thing with Trump is you don't know if he'll actually do it. There are a lot of things that people said Donald Trump said, but he would not do, and he is now trying to do those things. So will China call the bluff, or will they flinch? I don't know, but once again, that's not great for either country. But that said, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But of course, with this being the Philip DeFranco show, I'd love to know your thoughts here. Do you think this is more of the same, North Korea puffing up their chest, pounding on it, or do you feel like we're at a tipping point? I'd love to know what you think. And that's actually where I'm going to end today's show. And remember, if you liked this video, you like what I try and do on this channel, hit that like button. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Also, if you missed the last Philip DeFranco show, you want to catch up, click or tap right there to watch that. Or if you want to see the newest behind the scenes vlog, click or tap right there to watch that. But that said, of course, as always, my name's Philip DeFranco. You've just been filled in. I love yo faces, and I'll see you tomorrow.